Welcome to this episode of 20 Minute Tims. Pre-season's over, season kicks off next week, and we've got round the table to discuss what we noticed from pre-season. Stephen and Melly, confidence is plummeting and as we travel towards the kick-off of the season. I'm not too happy about
in it, yeah. The graph is all pointing in the wrong direction as far as the confidence goes, yeah.
I'm not quite sort of soiling my pampers about it,
no.
But I've got to admit I'm not too happy the way things are going, not too happy some of the stuff I've seen at pre-season, but I will always caveat this, Melly, with saying, look, there's a long time to go, and it might not seem like there's a long time to go, and I know people don't want to hear it, but I feel like I've seen this movie a million times, and it doesn't mean to say everything's going to be alright. Just because there's a long time to go doesn't mean all the best players we've ever wanted are going to arrive. But I am confident the way Celtic do business, i.e. very, very late, that at least some players will arrive.
You've seen this movie a million times, and not necessarily in a good way. This is ITV2 showing Green Street for the third time this week.
I've never seen Green Street.
Never seen Green Street?
Oh, never seen. Did you? Was that marching powder?
No, it's different.
Is that different? Is it? I get my football hooligan movies mixed up. I've not seen any, actually. Zero football hooligan movies, despite my background in being a football hooligan myself.
Right, watch along for next season. Green Street Jail.
There we go. Is that the one with Frodo?
Yes, it is.
Perfect, nailed it. Didn't matter. Right, so Stephen, why don't you give us, what have you spotted for pre-season? What's your first?
Oh, we're going straight in. So we're revealing our hot takes, our takeaways from pre-season. So my first one, I'm going to kick us off straight away. Squad's a mess, lads. We're coming in hot. I was going to put it to you the opposite way. I was going to say the squad is in great shape and looks fully prepared to take on all the rigours of a Celtic season, including a tilt at making a mark in the Champions League. But I'm just going to cut straight to the chase.
This is no time for japes.
No, it is a flabby, incoherent mess. And we've all been there. We've all been there of a Sunday morning.
I just don't know what's going on with it. I don't know. In terms of, I'm not talking about transfers in or out. I'm just talking about what we're presumably going to kick the league season off with. We're bloated in some positions. We are severely bloated in others, and completely understaffed in a few other positions. It's a complete mystery to me what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's not that it's terrible. Of course, there's good players in there. There's very good players, and there's players that have, although all the cliches we like to apply to this team, the players that have been there and done that and have won leagues, it's the makeup of the squad that's a mess. It's not to say that the whole thing's a write-off. It's just you look at the actual layout of the players that Celtic employ at the moment, and you're like, right, so many midfielders, 3 wingers in the entire squad, loads of strikers, but at the same time, it just looks a little bit sort of lopsided. We're gradually filling positions, but it's seemingly by accident, because Brendan Rodgers says, well, I don't know anything, virtually don't know anything about this guy, and then a couple of weeks later they are, well, here it is, we've got that box ticked, so we've kind of stumbled into that. So yeah, it's all over the place at the moment, not necessarily in a bad way, but it is probably best described as chaotically put together, the makeup of the squad.
And as well, I don't want to jinx or bring into fruition that we don't need Melly, but apart from Nicholas Kuhn, and the club knew he was going in January, we've not had any bids out of nowhere for, say, a Carter Vickers or a Trustee or a Daizen or anyone that we could probably rely on. There's been no bids out of nowhere for these guys, and you should always really anticipate those. When the transfer dominoes start to fall, this is when Celtic bids come in for Celtic players. Maybe in a position where we have to accept one, which would further cause. It's it's unthinkable at the moment that we would sell Tilio because we need the guy, or Yang. We need the guy to kick off the season. When it comes to players like, that was a joke, by the way, we can absolutely sell Tilio. But when it comes to players like
Stephen didn't even include him in his 3 wingers.
I know. Oh, of course, I tell you what. How do you know? I might have been excluding Maeda, who I believe is 1 foot out the door to Brentford. No.
Yeah, honestly, man, we can't even. That's the point. We can't even contemplate the likes of Daizen.
No, it's impossible. Just as a sidebar there, you've mentioned Tilio, so we may as well just talk about his pre-season performance. Absolutely risible.
Don't give a fuck, mate.
If I was to give him any defence whatsoever, I'm not particularly interested in doing so, but my observation would be about Tilio is that he has been basically, by the looks of it, forced to play some bullshit friendlies for a club that clearly
do your job.
Yeah, but what I mean is, forced to play friendlies for a club who publicly have absolutely no interest in keeping him, and he's 1 foot at the door. There was talk about their move to Rapid Vienna, and he's still been made to playing these friendlies because Celtic have no one else. That's the reason he's playing these friendlies. So quite frankly, I wouldn't be shown for the ball either if that was the case. If I've got my medical tomorrow and you're making me play these friendlies.
My problem with him wasn't him showing for the ball, it's what he done on the ball.
True.
See, when Shin was going through, he's just like, here, I don't care if you're offside, pass it.
I shouted play it 3 times before he played it. I shouldn't have enough time to shout something 3 times to him at the TV.
Aye, so I don't think there can be. I fully agree with you, Stephen, that the squad is an absolute riot. It's people. There's a lot of chat online about this is like giving reminiscence. It's reminding us of the COVID season. I'm not quite sure it's that bad, but it's an absolute shambles.
The COVID season team didn't look that bad, squad didn't look that bad on paper. It's just when it got out in the pitch, it was a disaster towards the end. But with the makeup of the squad right now, that's the problem, isn't it? Because we're looking at Celtic going, right, strategy, recruitment process, how do we get here? And you look across the squad and you think, how did we end up at this point? Because we have brought in a lot of players, but we're still 1 injury or 1 sale away from utter disaster in a lot of positions.
All I'm going to say is when there's a lot of talk about season tickets and all that, you can't have Flag Day with a bare bones squad. And that's kind of what we're looking at. Oh yeah, the transfer window ends at the end of August, beginning of September. The real transfer window for Celtic actually is probably 14th of August, the Champions League cut-off date for getting new players.
Aye.
That's probably
2 weeks away.
Yeah, that's probably the
very
absolute...
confident about that by the looks of it. Going to sail through that qualifier.
Oh, Jesus. That's probably the real transfer window deadline. If things haven't changed by then, I think all bets are off. But to not really care about the kicking off of the football season, to me is bizarre.
It's so funny that we always talk about that, and led by the club as well. It's so funny that we always talk about how what you really want is the players to come in January so that they're bedded in for the Champions League.
Jack and Ori stuff.
Aye. Kuhn is the only notable sort of January transfer and he's away. Or January in recent years anyway. So it's so funny we do that every year. Oh, what you want is them in extra early, then even ideally the previous season. So they're
who did we get this? Remind me who we signed in January gone by?
Schlupp, yeah. Is that it? Schlupp and Jota, yeah.
Oh, Jota. One's injured and we let the other one slip through our
Kyogo.
And we saw Kyogo. Do you know what's amazing? Last thing on this, but since Kyogo wanted to go last summer, in 12 months, his agent and presumably 2 other clubs have identified Kyogo as a player they wanted and managed to facilitate 2 moves for Kyogo. So he's went to, where they got Rennes, so presumably his agent sorted that and Rennes identified him. It didn't work out and his agent managed to get him a move to Birmingham and Birmingham wanted him. So in 12 months, he's managed to facilitate 2 moves to 2 different clubs for 2 managers who identified him and wanted him. We've not even managed to identify his replacement yet.
Despite having 6 months to do it.
A year. He told us a year ago he wants to go. He's got 2 moves and we've not even managed to put one guy in his place. Melly, what have you got for us?
After Brendan Rodgers' comments when he signed, Inamura is going to be going out on loan. He probably won't be part of the first team. I think he's looked an able replacement for Kieran Tierney, an able backup even for Kieran Tierney at left back.
Okay.
Not convinced.
No,
right?
Not having it.
No, look, it's first of all, I myself fell into that trap, and you and I have discussed that a couple of times. He did say no. I'm going to take a look at him. He might have to go on loan, but I think people have turned that into a certainty. People have melded Brendan Rodgers' words into saying he's certainly go on loan. But it is true to say that Brendan Rodgers kind of backtracked a wee bit after he saw him play. I think he looks tidy. I think he looks like a good passer of the ball. But that's it for me with Inamura. I've not seen him head a ball. I've not seen him defend particularly well. I've not seen him get bullied or rough and tumble, the sort of stuff that see all the criticisms we had of our former left back, who I might as well not bother naming, just like the heading of the ball, the actual defending,
we don't name
the cutting out of crosses. I've not seen enough of that from Inamura. What I will say is he looks absolutely brilliant on the ball, moving into midfield, diagonal passes with the outside of the foot. I'm like, sorry, who's this? But all that's impressed me. But I still think we need a left back in there. I think we need a proper defender in there. I've not seen enough of that.
I'm happy to give him 6 months till January, because Lord knows we've got a lot else other work to do. But from what I've seen of him, he's not been rinsed off MD. He's not been shoved off the ball. He is playing left back, which I think if it was centre half, all your concerns would be valid. But I'm not saying your feelings aren't valid, Jamie, of course. But he, in every game he's played,
Facts don't care about Jamie's feelings. Though.
in every game he's played, he's probably, the level of teams Celtic have played in this pre-season is going to be much higher than he'll face in Scotland, and he hasn't looked like an absolute bomb scare. If we cast our mind back to that 45 minutes or whatever it was that I've even forgot his name now. Athletic Bilbao, the Bilbao game.
Quan.
He's just out the door. Good night, sweet prince.
We'll always have Bilbao. We'll always have Athletic Club.
He just looked like he was terrible in that game. He looked like a guy that's won a competition. Whereas Inamura, he just looks like a footballer. And I think if
I don't mean to press your put in the corner here, but why are you comparing the two of them?
Because you can tell.
You went, that guy was shit. He's not shit. So I don't care.
Because Brendan Rodgers kind of said the same things about them when they came in,
right,
and
okay.
one's looked more than competent, the other hasn't. And Brendan Rodgers has kind of bracketed these guys in, nothing to do with me, so they'll not be playing. And then all of a sudden he's playing, and he doesn't look as bad. I think if Brendan Rodgers hadn't have said the remarks he did, nobody would be having second thoughts about Inamura at left back. He's come in, he's done well in every game, his passing has looked great, he's a different option to Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney will go on the outside. And when Brendan Rodgers spoke at the end of the season, he said, look, if Greg Taylor goes, I'm looking for my staff to get me another Greg Taylor. Inamura looks like that. He looks like a guy that will move inside. He looks like he's tidy on the ball. It's good to have that option. And from everything I've seen, he's never been looked completely out of place in the team. In fact, I've been very pleasantly surprised by what I've seen from him.
Yeah, I think it is a difficult one. I think, like Brendan Rodgers, I have sympathy with managers because they speak a lot and they're asked a lot of questions on a daily basis, and sometimes they're held to their word, and sometimes, I suppose that's like any interaction. You listen to a person's words and work out the more believable stuff than try separate the truth from the bullshit, as it were, right? But he talks a lot, and I don't know what prompted the no, he won't be part of the first team thing from Inamura as the first thing he said about him. So I know he didn't literally say he's going to go out on loan, but the strong implication there is that he's going to have no involvement whatsoever, and so therefore we're going to have to punt him out on loan, which is.
Do you think he was getting tetchy? Do you think he was just like, he's like, I'm getting asked about a player here that I barely know anything about? I saw a DVD. Is Y Scout report passed across my desk. I had a look at him for 5 minutes, said, you know what, I can probably work with him. But he's not my guy.
Silly now, but isn't it?
It's at best an unhelpful thing to say, because Brendan Rodgers will be aware that the fans we have a mistrust or distrust, however, whichever one it is, of that type of sign, and he knows that. He knows that we're fed up with the he's for the future stuff, because we all know after so many years of this being fed to us, it doesn't happen. We'd be well forgetting about those players, right?
Quan is a great example.
Exactly. So we'd be well forgetting about these players. So Brendan Rodgers, I think, unless he was just talking in generalities, I'm not sure, but it was an unhelpful thing to say that he's not going to be, like, categorically not going to be part of the first team squad, and then about a week later he's like, well, actually, so I think it got off to a strange start for Inamura. But taking all that aside, looking at him just on the football pitch, again, all the usual caveats apply. This is about pre-season, so we can only really go off that. I know that it's not like the full picture of any player, but I'm impressed. I agree with Melly. I'm very impressed with his passing range, with really his willingness, his sort of tactical versatility so far. So insofar as we're only playing friendlies. I know that if it was the other way around, if it was total garbage in pre-season friendlies, we would be sitting here saying, aye, but you can't go off friendlies, so you kind of have to apply it the other way as well.
That's very true, yeah.
But the question I had to answer the Kieran Tierney backup thing, the question I always had was that, can we have a guy who is going to come in and not look at a place for, let's say, at least 12 to 15 games a season, probably mostly domestic. Hopefully, fingers crossed that Kieran Tierney makes all the
that is a
Champions League games, right? So, can he play 12, 15 games a season? That remains to be seen. I think that question is very much unanswered. I think he will be tested, and it will be a case of comparing him directly to Greg Taylor. If he's targeted physically, we'll find out a lot about that player, because it came up time and again in the sort of scouting and the analysis of this player, is that the physicality is going to be completely different. However, I am willing to give him that chance. Well, that's big of me, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
As if I get a say in it. But I'm perfectly prepared to be like, well, if this is some sort of happy accident, if we've signed this guy based on some information that's come to the club that he's got a lot of potential, and it turns out that actually he's better than we expected, because that's kind of what happened with Jeremy Frimpong, isn't it?
We've done this over the years, haven't we? Remember the first game you watched Bolingoli, Stephen? That guy's not got it.
Yeah, aye.
And
yeah.
See, the first time that guy gets rinsed, you two are going to be like, I can't believe he didn't really.
He's going to get
the minute Danny Armstrong knocks the ball by him or whatever, if Danny Armstrong's still in the league, some who gives a fuck wingers from the SPFL takes the piss out
will sign him, don't worry.
Take the piss out of this guy.
The point is, like, with Bolingoli, with Kwon, with Tillio, as soon as these guys played, whether it be in pre-season or one of the first games, right away went, he's not got it. I haven't had that at all in Amura.
No, he's got good
all.
technique. He looks like a tidy footballer. I've got no
Lovely
problem
passer,
with that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks like a
that.
very tidy footballer. My only concern is, I can't. All the pre-season games are melded into one for me.
Aye.
But he didn't play against Ajax, didn't he? Not.
He started. He started. He started against Al Ahly, didn't he?
Yes, he was playing against Al.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he started the Ajax game.
That Ajax game for me was a bit of an eye opener, to be honest. The Newcastle game and the Ajax game for me were two completely different prospects, because Newcastle were miles behind Celtic in their pre-season preparations, whereas Ajax and Celtic were probably more of a match, and Ajax are the sort of teams we want to test ourselves against. And it was only a friendly. It's you can't take that much away from friendlies, but taking away what we can from it, it was worrying. We were shit. We were shit.
Inamura started that game, and it was 1-1 at half time, and he'd played a big part in the goal. And then when the subs happened, that's when the goals started rolling in, wasn't it?
Oh, well, maybe you've done well. You've made your case well. Okay, I agree. As soon as he went off, our arses collapsed. Is that what you're saying?
He might still be crap, but I just thought he's worth a try.
We should have. Do you know what? We should have just delete that whole 4-minute discussion or however long it was, and just say he might still be crap, but he's worth a punt, and just throw him in there. See
We've got nothing else, Stephen.
Chuck him in the deep end.
Literally got nothing else.
My only final worry on it is, and you touched on it, Stephen, is the injury record of KT. To think he's going to come in and play all 60 of Celtic's games at left back, and he shouldn't really have to be honest. Anybody that is his understudy you can expect him to play 10, 12 games a season, and you can expect one or two of those games to be important big games.
Yeah, it's two related but separate subjects, isn't it? Does Inamura look better than we expected based on the sort of weird noises that were coming out of Celtic about him, including from the manager? Yes. Can he adequately back up a very injury prone left back who's going to be probably one of our most important players next season? Don't know. I don't know about that, but it will get the chance.
Right, I've got one for you. Casper looks rusty.
Oh,
big boy.
Casper looks rusty. On the flip side of that coin is obviously Sinisalo has looked fine. So I'm not saying that we need to sign a new goalkeeper. I think Sinisalo's looked good. They have, to me,
I would say, was at fault for the goal. Was it that game he started? The sort of far post header. He looked a bit slow getting down to that.
I think that they're beginning to me to this pre-season anyway. They look exactly like they are. Casper looks like the old goalkeeper approaching the end of his career, and Sinisalo looks like the sort of younger guy who looks very, very capable in a Celtic shirt. So I'm not fully 100% advocating for Casper losing his place entirely, but I think there are question marks over it.
I think that it's a narrative that started to prevail based on the back of last season as well. I know a lot of that would have been knee-jerk and quite reactionary to the fact that, let's face it, the last thing we saw Kasper Schmeichel do last season was chuck one in the net in a move that, albeit indirectly, led to us losing a cup final. So a lot of people
didn't really
were
get near any penalties, did he?
Yeah. The penalties were good, and the thing is, that Ajax game, I think there was one where he parried it out, and I thought, oh, that he's starting to look like a probably nearly 39-year-old keeper by now. I think that's often the discussion about goalkeepers is that, yeah, but they can play much later than players. And I think that's demonstrably true. He's doing that. But even at that, even if you give him that extension, he's at the very end of that as well. I mean, you don't get that many 40-year-old keepers who are still performing at a very high level. You do get... There are,
he said performing, Jamie.
there are certainly... exceptions to the rule, like absolutely top class keepers, and Kasper Schmeichel's undoubtedly, or has been at least one of them in recent years or through his career. But we are getting to the very end of his career, and that looming, they've heard the stories so many times about your players who all of a sudden discover that they can't do it anymore. Everyone,
especially
athletes,
goalkeepers, it happens a lot.
It's not even just football. You hear athletes, you hear about boxers, basketball players. Just one day they realise that their body just won't do what they ask them. That
he's
day's
never
getting
looked
closer.
the most sprightly for us either. I know it's become a bit of a joke about how overweight he is and all that sort of stuff, and he came with that reputation.
Remember that account that used to tweet us every day, just saying Kasper Schmeichel is fat? I wonder if that's still going.
It's him. It's Kasper.
It's Sinisalo.
Godiness. But this pre-season he has looked a bit. And when Sinisalo's filled in, I thought, you're not a bad keeper. He's good on the ball as well. I think Sinisalo's good on the ball. If Kasper Schmeichel didn't exist, and I watched the whole pre-season Sinisalo as a Celtic keeper, I'd have no worries at all.
Yeah.
And that's about as plain as I can make it. I mean, I know Kasper was good for his last season. There's no getting away from it. But as you say, Stephen, he's getting on. He's 39 odds, and he's not had the best record as far as sort of his fitness is concerned. He came to us with that reputation. Also, did he not get an injury?
Yeah,
remember this
was
injury?
Until September, wasn't he?
It was supposed
that folds into the chat about the cup final, because it wasn't just that. It wasn't like Kasper Schmeichel has been brilliant all season, plays a cup final, has a bad one, and everyone's just like, I told you Sinisalo should have been playing this whole time. A lot of that, sort of understandable discussion was informed by the fact that it seemed like he'd been rushed back from injury. So whether I assume he's fully recovered from that now, but the Ajax game, on Kasper Schmeichel in the Ajax game, sometimes you're watching those goals going in. It kind of reminded me a wee bit of Dortmund. We spoke about that on the phone-in that we did recently, Jamie, about how there's nothing we can do about this. They've just decided to score basically every time they shoot. And there was that one was the young boy gets to the edge of the box and just pings it into the top corner and off the kind of underside of the bar. And I think, well, you're no saving that. I think it's very harsh to turn around to a keeper and say, "Oh, keeper looks suspect there," when it's absolutely rattled in off the bar. But it was that one where he just sort of parried it out to the middle of the box when I thought, oh, it's a one-off incident, but pre-season, I don't know, by this point during pre-season you should be kind of looking, that's what it's for, isn't it? That is what we're preparing for the season that's about to start next week.
It could be a bit of confirmation bias, couldn't it? Because we've seen this movie before again. Alan McGregor came back and he was just done at Rangers. He went a season too far, and I had a big fear at the end of last season that I thought, look, it might just be the same for Kasper coming back from that injury. I think he still intends to play on with Denmark as well. Like, where's the recovery time in there? So it might be just something we're looking at. But like Stephen said, the goals were raining in against Ajax. I can't really pin any on him. But at the same time, if I look at Sinisalo, who I've been really impressed with, I still think he was very weak for that header. And it was the same at the game at Ibrox when Rangers had that goal disallowed. He got down very slow. It was another Raskin goal, and he didn't look his best. So it could just be us thinking, he's old, he's young, he's going to be better. But I still do have serious reservations about Kasper, and wouldn't be surprised if Sinisalo ends up number one this season.
Right.
Who's up next, lads?
We're back around the table, so it's hot take the second.
Show me your homework.
I'm going to say, as harsh as it might seem, the striking options currently are arguably, at least amongst, if not the outright winner, as the worst set of options we've had in the last decade. Since Dialis time, it's not. Look, as I say, as it stands, big old asterisk on it. They could all completely prove me wrong.
Are you including Daizen in this? Because I know a lot of people do.
No, I'm not, because
he's not played a minute up front, has he?
No, he can't play there just now as well, with the absence of Jota and no other wingers that can. I know we saw a wee bit of Forrest on the left, but that's no ideal either. So I think Daizen's the nailed-on starter for left wing, and even towards the end of last season, Daizen he didn't play up front that much. I think people, understandably, because he went up front for a few games and scored straight through the middle, but Daizen scored from every position last season. He was scoring left and right, and just everything he touched turned to goals. So I think there's been a little bit of a maybe misremember, that sort of Mandela effect that makes some people think that Daizen was the absolute number one nailed-on striker for the second half of last season. He was brilliant. He was brilliant, but it was mostly off the left. He'd have played loads last season, so I'm not including him in these options just now, albeit he can play there. I just don't think he's going to for the foreseeable future, because we've not got any Jota, and as it stands, we don't have any options for the left wing. So I'm chiefly talking about Maeda, Johnny Kenny, Callum Osmond and Maeda. Now, it's nothing against any of those players personally, but honestly, I balked. My stomach just sank when I saw there was a tweet. I think there was a poll, and we had a similar poll out talking about the number one striker options, but there was a poll that I saw, and someone quote tweeted it and said it wasn't so long ago we had Griffiths, Dembele and Edward at the same time, and now we've got Ida, Kenny and Osmond. I didn't mention Maeda for whatever reason, but it's bleak stuff.
Look, see, for me, you can just put a red pen through Callum Osmond's name right now. He's look, nothing against him. I've not seen a great deal from him. He looks like a footballer, but I've not seen anything. I've not seen anything for the guy that's went, this is the next big thing. He needs to start games. He might be fine. He might not be fine. He's definitely one of the future, as Brendan calls it. Johnny Kenny, for me, put a line right through him as well. He's every day a Motherwell player. I know he's got his fans. I know people think he should be starting ahead of Maeda. No chance.
That was the result of our particular poll, wasn't it? Wasn't it, on the wonderful platform known as X? What were the results of that again?
I'd need to look them up, but
it was like 44% believe that Johnny. It was like 6,000 people voted, and 44% believe Kenny is the number one striker now.
They're all off their nut. It's not true. He's a Motherwell.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but shut up your ass.
He's a Motherwell player every day of the week for me, Johnny Kenny, and I know people, as I say, have got his fans. I feel really bad for Maeda. He's a guy, I said it on the phone in as well, but it's come up, he's a confidence player. But I just...
Got a few of those, haven't we?
But I think you don't want to meme yourself in this business, and...
Never.
How could I possibly back him after having such a bad pre-season? He didn't have a good one. He had a pretty poor pre-season, some pretty poor showings in games, and if I was Maeda, I'd want to be like, right, people were criticising me last season, I thought I did okay, I'm ready, I'm ferocious, I'm raring to go. Maybe that's not how he viewed pre-season. Maybe he just wanted to get minutes in his legs, and I hope his legs are full of minutes. But I wanted to see goals in the net.
To anyone who followed the Celtic TV coverage of the friendlies,
torture,
various methods and means, it's none of my business how you watched it, but you will be familiar of the just on a almost like 5-minute basis reminding us that it's about minutes in the legs, and loads of variations on it.
And
as
something should have been a foul.
Games into the leg. Oh yeah, I mean surely that's a foul, but minutes in the legs, games into the leg was said at one point, and it was just every like 5 minutes for 5 games.
Just another way of saying this is boring, isn't it? It's terrible.
Honestly, we should do a watch along. We watch a game on Celtic TV, and we'll like live stream it, and every time they say that ought to be a foul, we take a shot.
Wonderful.
You relax there, man.
Blind, drunk,
an ambulance,
rolling about, showing each other jiu-jitsu moves on the floor before half time.
How much is a defibrillator we're going to use? It's serious bother.
Stomach pumped. Absolutely blotto. So I feel bad for Maeda. I wish he had a better pre-season to shut some people up, but fact of the matter is, he didn't.
Even for his own benefit as well, isn't it?
That's what I mean.
As you say, with the confidence, I think it would have done him the world of good to bat a few in. I know he did get one, didn't he? I think one of the earlier games, but it didn't really show up much. See, before we move on entirely from his goals, I actually think, watching him play, he does a lot of things well.
Yeah,
he
that's
really
what I was
does.
about to say.
Yeah, he does a lot of useful things that are really, really good for getting Celtic up the pitch. But they're, like it or not, and I include myself in it, I'm not being like high and mighty here and saying, "Oh, don't you understand that strikers aren't supposed to score goals in this thing?" That's clearly not true. Because even Brendan Rodgers said that at the end.
We asked Brendan in a press conference, remember?
Yeah, he said, I mean, look, this is sort of grown arms and legs. I still want my strikers to score goals. Yes, I want them to do other things, but I still want them scoring goals.
Brendan's emphasis on that whole thing that we cleared up when we spoke to him, he said, I think his emphasis was, I don't need my striker scoring 40 goals.
Yeah.
I think that's where the emphasis lay. It wasn't no goals. It was, I don't need you scoring 40, maybe more than 20, but maybe about 30.
Ideally between 0 and 40 appears to be the bracket.
Yeah. See the Ajax game, that first half again, which wasn't an absolute disaster, but you could see again it was very like the Atalanta game where Celtic dropped their two midfielders in sort of in line with around the centre halves, which then opened up the pitch for the centre half, so the goalkeeper to ping it into Maeda, and he did hold it up well. But that's how Celtic scored, wasn't it? It came to Maeda, laid it back to Tierney, and the ball went down the line, and Hatate for Yang, wasn't it? So that's what we're looking for from him. But like you say, Jamie, in that 1 minute he could do that, and then the next minute he'll trip over the ball or something, and look, there's no in between with him. He's a very strange player, because at 1 second you're going, brilliant, more of that, then the next minute you're going, less of that, please. Absolutely.
I can't remember the specific game, and I know it's I've come unprepared with my own homework here. But the defensive Adam Maeda used to be, he doesn't miss sitters, and he missed one in pre-season. I can't remember what game it was. I feel like he missed a sitter in pre-season.
There was two. There was two in quick succession. One of the very early games, though,
and one was a good save from the keeper, but you're still looking for more. But
and it's stuff like the Newcastle game where the ball's like bouncing up off him and coming off his knee and all that. It looks bad. Do you think people just need to still cut him some slack, Melly, and maybe pay more attention to the good stuff he does, or do you think that's just a bit of pandering?
Look, he's a guy that's at Celtic. They've again paid a lot of money. It's not for him, but now this was the time for him to make the position his own. He didn't quite do it last season, so any goodwill, people go, do you know what, see if we can do it in pre-season, maybe, but it just looks like another guy that we can't really rely on. And it wouldn't be a massive problem. Like you say, if you don't want, Brendan Rodgers isn't looking for a 40 goal a season striker, that's fine, but we've just taken a 20 goal a season from Kuhn out the team and replaced him with a guy, Yang, none of us thinks going to be long term for Celtic. So you're then looking for that guy up front to score the goals, and I just don't see Adam Maeda taking up that mantle. We've got Maeda on one side, Kuhn on the other, and if Maeda drops and the other two bang in the goals, fine. But you're taking one of them out it, and you've still got a guy who isn't going to score a lot of goals. It's a lot of goals to take out the team. So where are they going to come from? And the guys underneath him, Osmond looks like he's just going to get loaned out. Kenny was playing ahead of him. Kenny, while he looks decent and busy, I don't think he's ever going to be a Celtic striker. I think he could go and be a good striker elsewhere. Never going to be at Celtic. Maeda, only seen a wee bit. He looks like he could be a handful, but all I've seen is him making runs in behind. I don't know what else he does.
Well, I'll say what else he does. He was one of the only players bullying the Al Ahly players, trying to get the ball back, holding players off well. I'm actually very intrigued by Maeda.
Yes,
I think he's a bit of an enigma. The fact that he had that really hot season, then had an absolutely terrible one. He's come here, and we don't really know, beyond what we've done in our scouting podcast, and he's not really a big known name. He's still in the early days of his career. Really, I'm interested to see how he goes. I think he might be a bit of a surprise package. What I saw in the short bursts of the Al Ahly game, he was tigerish, he was bullying, good touch, and I thought, that those are attributes that could do quite well in Scotland.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's you're halfway there. I mean, again, we talk about it in sort of broad terms when you talk about Scottish football, but it is physical and it is fast. If you can cope with those two things, then you're not, don't get me wrong, you won't be good because you're physical and fast. We saw Oliver Burke was a good example of exactly the opposite. He was incredibly fast and a big guy and all that, and he was just absolutely rotten. But what the point I'm trying to make is that you don't you don't see him wilting. You don't see him coming in and being like overawed or being sort of bullied off the ball. Again, based on what little we've seen on him, so it's encouraging so far. To just tidy up what I was saying about Maeda before we close off this subject. I was talking about how like I kind of branched off to make the joke about how like, I'm not going to sit here and say that hold-up play is more important than scoring goals. That's like utter hipster nonsense, right? But what I'm trying to drive at is that I think like, you can be, even if he was perfect at that, even if he did that perfectly 100% of the time, he held the ball in, got it out wide, and some winger was, it's still not going to be enough. He still needs it. If he does that all season and he's the best player in the world at it, right? And he finishes the season with 12 goals. It's not going to be enough. And this is also a part of the makeup of the squad. The very first point I made here was that the makeup of the squad now is a bit of a mess because you could see it last season. You've mentioned the now lack of Kuhn, but you could see what Maeda brings. See if he drops deep into midfield. Yes, you ideally want him to be between the posts as well, but he drops into midfield, knocks it wide. Alistair Johnson all of a sudden finds Kuhn and we're on a really fast breakaway. That's gone now. Yep. So he's kind of, his strengths, as it were, are being sort of taken away from him through no fault of his own. This is not like some blind, staunch defence of Maeda. I'm just trying to make the case a wee bit more for him that he does do good things, but also he's going to need to score goals to get the. I can sense maybe a growing dissatisfaction with Maeda out there.
Yeah, it's getting a bit toxic online. It's gone far too far for me. Yeah. I'm happy to write players off. I don't think there's enough shithousery in football anymore. But I think as far as Adam's concerned, it's gone too far. And that coming short thing, it's a 3-act play, isn't it?
Yeah. Act 1, come short and Act 2 is play the ball out. Act 3 is get your ass back in the box and stick your head or foot on the end of the cross that comes in. But you touched on a few things, Stephen, there that actually I've noticed from pre-season as well, and it's my point. It's we're too soft.
Right.
There's not enough physicality in that Celtic team. I know it's something Brendan Rodgers has complained about before, but we've got Maeda, we've got
still looking for power. 3 seasons, 2 years and into
pace
third season.
And I think the game that highlighted it was the Al Ahly game. We're just not even just the rough and tumble stuff, even the sort of, if I was to go full Brexit ball, Neil Warnock stuff, they're chopping us left, right and centre towards the tail end of the game. It felt like the referee was letting an awful lot go. Not one of our players went, hold on a fucking minute, and went through the back of one of them or smashed them. Red cards don't carry over, so if you're getting bullied in a game like that, I just think Luke McCowan was sort of standing up to things a wee bit. Although there was a funny moment, and I'm sure I saw this correctly, something happened and the guy walks away and Luke McCowan shouted something at him, and that Al Ahly player comes running right up to McCowan, and McCowan obviously didn't expect it. And,
right.
And he's the guy, and within a second he was standing right in front of him, and he didn't know. It was clear he didn't know what to do at that moment in time. He's like, shit. He has actually.
It wasn't part of the plan.
I've went. Come on then, you dick, and he has actually come on then. So there's. I just think we're too soft. We need more physicality in that team, and I worry about Callum McGregor a wee bit. And no, that's going too far. I don't worry about Callum McGregor because he's an excellent footballer, but he's not a physical footballer. And we do lack physicality in that midfield. Nygren looks decent. No mention for him yet. He looks every bit the Celtic player. I'm happy with that purchase. Again, not very physical, not very powerful. I feel like we are lacking that. Defensively, we're all right, but going forward, I think we really, really do. We need an enforcer in there, not a clogger, just somebody that's over 6 foot with a bit of something about them.
That's my worry again. Wasn't even the Al Ahly game; it was the Ajax game again. Even when Celtic were playing well in that first half, I keep talking about, it just seemed like if we lost the ball, it was lose the ball, they're in our defence. The makeup of the midfield, like we've already spoken about, it's all two similar players. We need something different in there, somebody who is combative. We have physical players, but they seem to be our right back and left back. Tierney and Johnston will be physical. They will not get pushed about. They'll give as good as they get. But in midfield, you need somebody just to do the dirty stuff, even if it is, like you say, Jamie, trip somebody up or go in and somebody that's went in and your teammate. We don't have that. We've seen over the years, Man City have obviously been brilliant at it. The tactical fouls to stop teams just breaking on you.
Yeah.
Celtic are wide open a lot of the time, and it's Callum McGregor is good at what he does. Nigrin is good at what he does. Hatate is good at what he does. I don't think it's the right makeup of a midfield that is going to... It'll be fine in Scotland. I think more times than most that will be good. It'll be great to watch. Celtic will rip teams apart. As soon as we get into Europe, I just fear that we are going to take another Borussia Dortmund
You'll say it'll be fine in
tanking.
Scotland, but Rangers have run a midfield several times last season.
Aye,
With,
most of the time in
with
Scotland.
physicality.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, we've done nothing. We have not signed a single player. That we've not watched those Rangers games and went, this is the player we need, and went out and signed him.
No.
Is that an old-fashioned way of thinking? I don't think so. But you look at a team that caused you problems in the league and you go, do you know what will solve that? This player. And you go out and buy them and you go, problem solved. They're not going to cause us a problem again. So and the Champions League itself is a completely different thing. But people are, and I don't know if they are forgetting, maybe it's just my perception. People forget we were shite against Rangers last year.
Yeah. Big
Aye,
And a midfield was a real issue in a lot of those games.
Yeah,
And
in
Engels-
particular, some of the bullying of the midfield, like Paulo Bernardo and Arne Engels, who are the guys who, yes, they're not like big, huge, like solid midfielders, but in terms of like their physical profile,
They're athletes.
yeah, they're athletic and should be able to at least stand up to it. So it seems like even the attempts to address that have failed largely. I don't mean they're failed signings, but what I mean is the attempts to address that in particular, the physicality in midfield, have been fruitless so far.
Who's next?
Oh, we're going again.
Yeah, I'll come in. Transfers, guys. We are making the same mistakes as we do every single season. We try to convince ourselves this season it will be different, we'll do something different, but again, it just looks like the plan is there is no plan. Because like you already spoken about, Jamie, Kyogo, we knew he was going this time last season. Kun, we knew he was going from January. We have not brought in a single player to replace either of them, it looks like. And looking at our transfer strategy, we aren't addressing things that need addressed. We haven't got somebody in midfield despite having 6 or 7 central midfielders. We don't have that specialist position. We seem to be going out and absolutely lowballing teams, embarrassingly lowballing teams that we are going to get derisory bids called on us soon. Remember the season of the summer of derisory bids from Rangers? That's us now. It's pathetic the way Celtic are trying to operate in this transfer market, that we want top dollar for our players, but we're not even going to give you what the other players are worth. And then I'm looking at going, what are we doing here? Because there's positions that need addressed and we're not doing it.
We were recording on the day that I don't know what's true and what's not anymore as far as transfers go, but we were recording on the day, Stephen, that this thing about Celtic bidding. What's it? Abram, is that his name? Was
it Jacob Broom or Broom or something like that? Yeah, unsure.
Winger that apparently we wanted, and we bid 1.5 million, which was laughed out, and then 1.75, and then came back in with 3, even after we were told the valuation was 6 million quid. We're laughing, but see if Celtic, see if you think a player's worth 1.5 million pound, don't buy him.
No.
Because that's a scratch card. That's what that is. If you think a club wants 6 million quid for a player and you bid 1.5, you think they're going to take it. To me, that's a massive punch. So that's my comment on that.
Specifically on that fee. Now, I want to present the other side of that, and I can feel that people will say, "Oh, but we got Daizen, we got Matt O'Reilly for that." But no, in this case, what Celtic are doing is that they are saying, "I want this player, but we think he's worth 1.5 million." It's not one of these we've got him from a historically quite cheap market like Japan. It's not like we've
6
got him
months left in his deal.
Yeah, it's not like we've got him in a cross-border thing where the fee is just completely decimated because of various kind of red tape and all that. That's not it. They're trying to buy a player who is valued at a certain amount, and they're saying, no, we won't go a penny over 3.5 million or whatever, because that, quite frankly, that's our top end. Because we came to you, to you pretty explicitly saying that we think this guy's worth 1.5 million.
These are your British pounds, but it's none of your euros.
Yeah, and it's so funny that just coincidentally we found this out on 30 years to the day that Celtic paid 2.2 million for Andreas Tom.
German international.
30 years ago they were signing players for 2.2 million, and now in the big 2.5 we're trying to get players for 1.5. Philadelphia was 1.75 million in like 1996 3 or 4 or whenever that was. It is embarrassing. And look, of course, people will say, "Oh, well, what's the point in overpaying?" But don't go for players that you think that's too much money for anyway.
Aye,
it's fundamentally wrong-headed if you're going for players that you think are worth 1.5 million, unless it's an absolute steal, which this clearly isn't because he's selling club values him at 6 million.
I don't understand the logic of bidding 1.5 million for a player, being told, "Nah, you're going to really have to give us more, like 6 million," and going, "Okay, how does 1.25 sound?" That's not how negotiations really. I mean, it is technically a negotiation, but I don't know if that's how negotiations work. But even that aside, that single transfer incident aside that was reported today, Celtic always did their business late. Fine. But that doesn't guarantee that they're going to be good.
Nope. Or you're going to get the best price.
Or you're going to get the best price. People will say, the Celtic board will argue confidently, waiting allows us to get the best price. The Celtic board will argue confidently, we paid over the odds for Maeda, ... because we waited. It makes no sense. Celtic's transfer model absolutely makes no sense. And it's the recruitment, as we know, has been an absolute shambles. Like, the quality of player coming into this club since Michael Nicholson took the hot seat has been an absolute shambles. Since Brendan Rodgers arrived, I don't know what has gone wrong. It's a disgrace, to be honest. And
I don't know if anything's gone wrong, to be honest. I just think with Ange, he took over, him and his agent took over for a summer, and things got sorted, and he had access to a league that nobody knew about really in Scotland, and we got lucky with him. Take Ange out the equation, those first 2 windows, this is how Celtic operate. It's been pathetic for probably 8 years, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
That's just the way we are now. And again, we couldn't, knowing the bids were coming in since January, yet we are going into the season starting where we haven't signed somebody to replace the guy. Not a player has come in to replace him. There's no model there.
I hate comparisons to Rangers because I've seen this Rangers movie before. It's the same every season. They go out and sign loads and loads of footballers from England in the lower leagues and League One and the Championship, and we go, "Oh Christ, they're signing players," and then they all turn out to be duds and we win the league. That's how the last decade has gone since Warburton, and that's how the last decade's gone. But I just don't know why we can't I don't know why we can't take that model but do it better. The model of, we need a right back. Let's go and find the best right back we can find. We need a winger. Let's go get the best winger we can find. We're playing this like mad mystery game where why don't we sign this guy we've never heard of, who's no track record of anything, and he's a real bargain, and you know what? He might be great. Sure, Michael, he might be great. but the entire if you want to take a punt on whether a Celtic player is going to be good or bad, if you've never heard from him before, if he's a bargain fee, he's going to be shit. Because if it's the opposite, that's a 1 in a 20. That's a 1 in a 20 outcome. Really, it really is. We got Kuhn for what, 4 point odd million?
Yeah, 3 million, I think it was, something like that.
Well, whatever. That is about, anyone under 3 million is just basically a flop, really. And it might sound ridiculous, but that's the way it's panned out for Celtic over the last couple of years. And just because they're in the last year of their contract, that makes a player cheaper. But that's not just all that reflects a player's value. What also reflects his value is how many other clubs want him. And if we're going, he's only £1 million because at the end of his contract, who else wants him? Because Aberdeen could sign him and Motherwell could sign him for £1 million. Who are we competing with here? So I know his wages are a different factor, but it's just it is a mess. It's a shambles, and it might come good. It might come good.
I think we're at the point now it can't come good because we cannot get a centre-half, a central midfielder, 2 wingers and a striker that are all going to be first-team ready players who just come in and play.
We're making do until January and then going again. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. We do that every season as well. On the subject of making the same old mistakes, we do get to the point where it'll be deadline day and we'll all be sitting there going, right, we need 3 in, but we'll take 2. And we'll get 1, and we'll go right. Well, January then. It's just on the subject of Jamie. You mentioned Rangers there. Look, they're perfectly capable of completely wasting talent, which is kind of what looks like happened with Ahmad a few years ago. He's gone on to be a good footballer, but Rangers didn't do anything with him. But
Tillman as well. They've had a few. They've had good footballers in there.
As is reported, that they're just about to go out and get that Mikey Moore from Spurs, who's like an extremely highly rated talent. And Celtic, I mean, I don't know what the plan is, clearly, but
if only we knew somebody that was like recently at Spurs or whatever.
Aye, like Celtic are crying out for wingers. Mikey Moore is clearly available to go and get. I'm not saying he's like the answer, but would he do a job for Celtic? I'll cards on the table here. I'd be delighted with that. Mikey Moore, I watched him a few times last season because he was heavily involved in the Europa League, which I was choking for Ange to win just to shut a few people up, right? So I tuned in a few occasions. Mikey Moore is an outstanding talent. They're perfectly capable of wasting him, but as I say, I'd be chuffed if Celtic went out and got a player like that who's that highly rated. So I'm not saying that them bringing in Mikey Moore signals the end. That's like this is the apocalypse now. Celtic are just going.
You've got it all wrong, mate. What you want to do is go to the Swedish League, get some guy you've never heard of for 800k.
Aye. And then we can have the manager write him off on day one, and then he goes on the, as you've described it, Jamie, recently, the kind of eternal loan cycle that the Celtic players go on, and then they'll go out the door for an undisclosed fee in 3 years' time. That's the Celtic way.
Whatever you want to call these players for tomorrow, development players, project, whatever you want to call them, that's enough. And I mean, this year, that's enough. We had Yang in. And he's about to presumably. The only reason he's not going away is because we don't have anyone to replace him. And he's about to leave after 60 odd appearances for Celtic. And he's about to leave for a pittance or join the eternal loan cycle or go for the long walk or whatever they call it. But that's the absolute best you can hope for. To take a guy like Yang from obscurity, young player of the year in Korea, so not even that obscure, the young player of the year of the Korean League, bring him over here, play him 60 times. And at the end of that, what's he worth? Well, he's not worth it to Celtic because we want to get rid of him. He's worth a loan to Norwich. It's a complete and utter waste of time.
Even if you make your money back, what's the point?
Aye. Even Brendan is back moaning again. He's saying this. We're making the same transfer mistakes. He's making the same grumblings. It's weird. It's just weird. You don't hear any other manager really nowadays moaning. Maybe you do. Maybe you guys hear more managers talk than I do, but I'm not seeing an awful lot in the press, managers moaning about no getting players and all that sort of stuff, and who's this guy, and maybe I'll send him. It's just a weird.
It's very rare elsewhere. I mean, it does happen on occasion, but it's usually kind of quite explosive and makes big news. Like somebody like Antonio Conte or Jose Mourinho or something like that.
Mourinho was the one I was thinking of.
Those guys who have the kind of clout to do that to a club, you sometimes hear about them, but it's usually as a means to that. This is it. Like they're working their ticket. I'm not saying that's what Brendan Rodgers is doing, but I'm just trying to make the point that it's actually quite rare for a club to operate basically kind of flying in the face of what the manager wants on such a regular basis. It's
it may come good, but we are 3 seasons into a TV series and. The first 3 seasons, those seasons being transfer windows, have been shit.
Yeah.
It's been shit. And we're going, maybe this time it will come good.
Is it one of those tedious examples where somebody tells you, no, stick with it, because see when it gets to like season 5, honestly, the first few seasons, they're quite slow, but see once you get to season 5, man, it's brilliant.
I got that with Better Call Saul. Like my mate's like, you should watch Better Call Saul. And I'm like, is it good? He goes, like third season it really kicks into gear. I'm like, mate, I don't have like 25 hours to sink into it.
There's also
I'm busy doing podcasts.
There's the part of this, like you're sort of touching on now, that Celtic are sort of getting slight credit here for, do you know what, we're doing well at getting rid of Deadwood. I'm like, no. You don't get credit for that because we bought all that Deadwood. It's all the Deadwood from the other year. And it annoys me as well that we think it's fine that we don't need to bring in players to improve our team, but we're happy to give other teams these players we don't want to improve their team. So other teams want to do business quickly, we don't, and we just wait it out. You don't get credit for getting rid of guys you'd bought, don't play, and then have to get rid of because the manager doesn't want them. These aren't guys from the previous manager. These are all guys from the manager who's still currently in charge.
It's like congratulating people for finally getting rid of all that Captain Tom merch they bought during lockdown.
Did you get shot at right enough? Who took the life-size cutout?
By the way, I won't reveal in an undisclosed location. I know of a school that had a massive like mural of Captain Tom. Like it was, it had clearly been made by the kids, so the teachers had clearly encouraged us. But it wasn't far away from where I currently sit. A very like a ghoulish
Scam.
memorial to.
Meanwhile, his daughter's lording it up.
Stephen still got his
jacuzzi or something,
commemorative
swimming
plate,
pool,
hasn't
whatever.
he?
I've still got my just behind me. I don't know if people make out my Princess Diana commemorative plate that's just over my shoulder there.
24. That was another TV series that I didn't.
Oh
bother
no,
watching.
no chance, man! 24 episodes a season,
And
Come
they're
off
an hour
it, man.
long. Presumably, this
no.
guy
And he
doesn't
never
sleep.
goes to the toilet. Never
has
goes to
his
the
dinner.
toilet
Oh,
once.
no.
Nah,
I'm not
Sopranos
that
can get it done in 12 or 13 episodes, and I need to sit through 24. And bore
Not
off.
for me. Stephen, have you got any football related takes, or do you just want to, should we just talk about ancient TV series now?
Well, my final one, I suppose, is that I don't think any young. I think we're going to go into another season where no young players take any part in to any great degree. And I think, look, that's not necessarily like a terrible thing. I'm not saying, well, this is a disaster, but what I said a few times last season is it's a wee bit of a shame that we've gotten to this point with Celtic, a club that we maybe still hold the kind of romantic notion that we produce our own players, we produce our own heroes. It's like having a fan right there in the pit, all that sort of stuff, right? And it's just not happening to any great degree. I appreciate that it's not all Celtic's fault. I think Brexit has basically ruined everything, including the conveyor belt of talent coming out Lennoxtown, because it's now
Shouldn't
easy
have bought
for
that commemorative plate
Yeah.
for it then, should
Yeah.
you, Stephen?
It says Freedom Day on it, really. Independence Day.
It has made it incredibly easy for English teams to just come and take our sort of top talent away. So I do appreciate that, but it just looks, glancing across pre-season, Donovan a little bit involved,
Yeah.
Dane Murray, moderately involved. I think he's probably got a shot of playing because
I'm not convinced by Dane.
well,
to be honest.
yeah. I think he's done all right, and I think it looks like, as it stands, he's going to be Cameron Carter-Vickers' understudy at the very
Happy with
least.
that.
But he's 22 now, and he's been around the first team for a long time. Now I know that injury has kind of derailed him a significant amount in his career, but in terms of like the new up and coming big thing, no sign of McArdle or any other Bonnard, or again fleeting glimpses, but ideally, as I say, it's no more than it's a shame. This isn't
What
like a
about Mitchell
massive
Frame? What happened to him?
I've genuinely no idea. Yeah, so when he played against Feyenoord, didn't he? What was that, 2 seasons ago? Yeah, genuinely no clue. So it's not like this is terrible Celtic. It's not bad Celtic. I'm just saying it looks like we're going to be in for another season of not much in the way of the next big thing coming through. So again, I might be jumping the gun, but I'm only going, this is quite literally the takeaways from pre-season, and I'm not really seeing any significant push to get one of these guys into proper playing time, because I think in the case of Donovan, played a wee bit of right back, but you're behind Alistair Johnson and Anthony Ralston there. You're not going to get on the bench.
I mean, I just had a wee look. Mitchell Frame, 19-year-old left back, made his debut, as you say, Stephen, against Feyenoord in 2023.
Yeah.
We need a left back, and he's not even taking him, as far as I could tell. I don't know if he was taking him pre-season. He played that, certainly no minutes during pre-season. What chance have you got?
Yeah.
Waste of time.
I think that what Stephen's saying's right there. The guys that have looked decent, whether it be Donovan or Murray, as well, Kyle Urey and Jude Bonner, they're in the positions where we're pretty stacked. And
that's it.
it's
Yeah.
not as if we've got a lot of quality, but we've got plenty of senior players ahead of them. And with Kyle Urey and Jude Bonner, you'd like to think, see if one of them, Kyle Urey's meant to be a holding midfielder, why did he not get more time in the Callum McGregor position? But the manager
Bernardo got
thinks
it again. Like
Bernardo's a better player and just plays them. So these guys are going out on loan to Ayr United and Partick Thistle. That's fine, getting minutes, but there's decent players there. There's no standout players, because Donovan, he's looked good, but he'll probably be a guy that just will look at this time next season and go, what happened to that guy? He played in pre-season, looked decent.
The problem is a
and then
lot
we
of
never
the young players we buy. When was the last time we bought like a significantly young player that contributed? I mean, we buy young players, and they you're thinking about even going back to like sort of Oko Flex and fucking Kundai Benyu and even
Probably
Osmond.
Ayer, isn't it?
We buy 19-year-olds quite
Frimpong.
frequently.
Yeah.
Frimpong's definitely the last one, the most obvious one.
Yeah.
But we buy 19 and 20-year-olds semi-regularly, never really do anything. So it's really not looking good for the whole sort of youth setup, whether that's players we bring through ourselves or players that we buy. It's I honestly, but I don't know what the answer is. I mean, nobody seems to know what the answer is.
Yeah. So yeah, just a minor one to finish us off with. I think it's just one of those kind of. I'd like Celtic to be better, but it's just one of those. It's one of those things. I'm not all that kind of exercised about it. It's just I'd like Celtic to be better, but it's not. It's never just been as simple as right. Just develop them so that they're ready-made Celtic level Champions League players. You can only do what you can, and then, as I said, like the ease with which English teams are able to just pluck them off now, I think is very unfortunate.
See, looking to the Tilio thing, does that make it even more nonsensical? Is there not, like, we're taking guys like Tilio, Yang, that we're trying to actively move on from the club, and we're not taking any of these 19, 18, 17-year-old wingers. So you've got a friendly match there, and the manager's playing a guy who's got 1 foot out the club rather than take anyone else with him. Is it bizarre?
I don't know if it's bizarre. I think it's just the players that are decent are just in the wrong positions, aren't they? That if there was anybody with a chance of playing in the first team out wide, surely they would have played, because it was pointless playing Tilio. Pointless because he's terrible, and pointless because he's halfway out the door. Absolute pitiful from the guy. It was like Anton Rodgers or something, watching Tilio play there.
Do you know Tilio is? Sorry to interrupt, but just before that, the memory escapes me. All this stuff we're talking about, sort of development players and ones for the future. At the AGM, Brendan, I don't know how much to read into it, but he did single out Tilio and Yang. He says those are investments for the future, and they'll be really good players for Celtic. That was when someone asked the question. Those were the 2 examples that Brendan used. That either last year's AGM or maybe the year before. Absolutely wild.
Trust that guy with millions of pounds.
Well, I know that is a question. Anyone get anything else just to finish us off? Wrap up with?
I've got one more to go, guys. Following on from the state of the squad and following on from the transfers, centre halves. We've got 4 of them, and I'm not sure of the makeup of the 4 of them, and I still think Trusty's done okay in pre-season, enough to be cemented alongside Carter Vickers. Not for me. I still want a centre half in there.
It's funny you should mention that, Millie, because I had one that when we were sort of hammering out the show, mine was going to be Trusty's Andy spot back.
Yeah,
because I think he's put in a good show, and again,
is that enough for you? But
Brendan Rodgers singled him out again for praise. Did he single him out for praise, or did he single him out himself out for praise for signing Trusty? Because he was talking about the signing situation, and he said, people grumbled about how much money we spent, but we get quality for that. Austin Trusty has been excellent. So he's kind of defending his own spend on Austin Trusty, which you would then say, well, you dropped the guy for Liam Scales, so how excellent was he? I think someone made the point to us on X, and they didn't call us any nasty names.
Right.
Like
that's how you get your comments read out. Ideally, I'm not saying it's a must, but ideally, if you could leave out the personal abuse,
or call me a gimp, call me a pug-nosed gimp. Anyway, they made the cogent point that is Liam Scales becoming the new Greg Taylor, i.e. he's keeping players out the side, he's doing as well as be considered, but people are just never going to take to the guy. Yes, he is. I think I think it's long by time that we don't want to be unfair to Liam Scales, because he's doing his job, and he's doing the job as far as the manager sees it. That being said, he's not improving as a footballer for me.
So it's 2 different subjects, that, isn't it? Because again, it's somewhat like the Inamura thing I said earlier. It's related but separate subjects, because throughout our often tedious and ridiculed defence of Greg Taylor throughout his time at Celtic, right? People would say, mainly the point was, does he deserve more credit for what he has done and what he continues to do for Celtic? We felt that the answer was yes, but also bluntly, could we improve upon Greg Taylor? The answer is also yes. I don't think we were ever contradictory about that, and it's the same with Liam Scales. Has he done extremely well for how his Celtic career started? Undoubtedly. That season where he played basically the entire time before Trusty came in, Brendan Rodgers' first season was outstanding. Where he got at the back of his, or he got his contract off the back of, rather, a 4-year contract, which I don't know, might have seemed excessive at the time, but he deserved it as just a sort of reward for
People
what
were
he did.
fuming about that, remember?
Yeah, and look, has he done very, very well? Yes, but also I don't think you have to pretend. You can hold those two views at once. You can say, look, Liam Scales has been excellent for Celtic, for Liam Scales, and I don't mean for that to sound patronising, but I think we all know what I'm getting at there. But is it time to get a better player in that position, given that we have the perfect opportunity to do so right now in the middle of a transfer window where we're absolutely busting with money? Yes, is the answer to that. And I suppose you
keep
could say the same
about
with
the 100
Trusty.
million quid in the bank.
Yeah. And you could say the same with Trusty as well. Like, has he done all right? Yeah, but But again, like, in fact, that's closer to the Inamura thing that I said earlier. Like, has he done well in pre-season to the point where you'd think, right, okay, he's worth another go? Yes, but do you trust him for the rigours of a Celtic season, including the big games and the Champions League and all that? Do you trust him, or is that gone for now? Maybe, but I would amend that ever so slightly. I said the Champions League. He actually played quite well in the Champions League, so that's not really what I mean. It was more the rough and tumble of the.
But he's fine. Like it's almost at the point where it's pointless trying to pick holes in Liam Scales' performances because he's got good ones and he's got bad ones. He's been fine.
Yeah.
There's no beef there. But as you say, it's Melly said you're not happy with the centre back options, and we've got Carter Vickers and we've got the Trusty and Scales. And if you're being totally honest with yourself, you can't hang your hat on either of them. Despite how I feel that Trusty's done well, and I think there's more to come for Trusty. I think he looked good and then he fell off and then he lost his place, and I just don't know if there was something behind the scenes or if it was a training thing or he just wasn't doing it. Remember, he get criticised by the manager.
Yeah, he subbed in the half time in the cup
water
final
or something, whatever he called him. And so he certainly didn't call him Pisses Water.
Called him a piss kidney.
He called him So whatever he called him, it was something related to piss. There was, he said, "Hull Austin, no one respects you, you piss." That's what he says. But he lost his place, and it was. You can't. I think Melly's right. You can't rely on either of them. And every time we've had this discussion, they've kind of been revolved around positions. I'm always reminded of what you said a couple of weeks ago, Stephen, at the beginning of the transfer window. As the clock ticks down, it becomes a numbers game.
Yeah.
And you're now just saying, can we get 7 in? No, we'll settle for 4. No, we'll settle for 3.
Particularly as we've already signed like 5 players. Like,
Yeah,
are we going to sign 13? No. So what are we going to be without?
Maybe.
It becomes a matter of what is it we're going to be without until January.
We're going to be centre half, probably,
yeah,
isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
So the overall takeaway, it seems, from pre-season is we're a bit in the shit, but January's right around the corner. We'll see how it goes. There's still, as I keep saying, there's plenty of time left. But I mean, the hail levels are absolutely dwindling. I'm glad I wore this big jumper in this room. It's absolutely sweltering. I can see my head and face getting redder and redder as the podcast went on. Thank you so much for your continued support on Patreon. Really appreciate it. If you want to sign up for the year, little discount in there, little treat coming your way, so keep your eyes peeled, but certainly check all that out on patreon.com/20minute Tims. And guess what? The flagship podcast is back.
Oh,
yeah. You sound buzzing for it, Steve.
Back in the big house. Yeah,
back in the big house. The big house has reopened. Thank you very much for watching and listening.